That was a fun one last night.
Yeah, it was a fun ending for sure. It was trying in the middle, but it was a fun ending for sure.
Sometimes I text Mike after a big win like that. What do I usually say to you after a win, Mike?
I can't repeat some of it on the air.
I usually say, "Go have a glass of wine."
Yes,
and
that's for sure.
Now, last night I wasn't up to text you because I was asleep. I was in sleepy land. But man, I certainly would have texted you more than that. That's just an incredible.
Where does that one rank for you?
Have you ever seen anything like that as
Mike?
a GM?
Well, that's an epic win right there. I mean, just as far as to get yourself off the mat after giving up so many late runs and tack on runs and play. We played a poor game last night. Let's face it.
Right.
It was sloppy. We were making mental mistakes. We made some physical mistakes. People thought they were going to score 21 runs with DeGrom and Scherzer pitching that game. They need to go to Vegas, right?
Right.
So, it was just an epic win. These guys just keep grinding out. They don't give away at bats. I mean, those are easy giveaway at bats with with Diaz on the mound, and the game is in the bag for the Mets, and nobody gave up an at bat. You get. Now this was an epic comeback, mostly because these were all base hits. They were all hit hard. There was,
right.
Oftentimes when teams give up that many runs in the ninth or eighth innings, you're making errors and you're walking people, making errors, and you're giving openings to a team. These balls were all barreled up, including Howie Kendrick's out that went to the warning track, and it was just some outstanding at bats culminated by a huge at bat by Ryan Zimmerman, right on right with Diaz and Zimmerman, and he hits the prototypical Zimmerman hit where it's a line drive to right center, and then you've got one of the best to me one of the best fastball hitters on our team up against a guy throwing 100 miles an hour from low three-quarter slot right against right, and he falls off two or three tough pitches, spit on a couple of tough sliders, and then he hits a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, about 420 to walk it off. It was a crazy victory.
We've been saying it all year, Mike, and you've been saying it. Everyone, it's just obvious how resilient this team is. I want you to tell. I mean, here's the problem with it. Like, this team is so resilient. They never quit. It doesn't mean necessarily they're going to win the World Series. But I still think, man, this goes up as one of the most resilient teams I've ever seen. They just keep coming back. They may not have the most walk-offs or anything, but they can be down 4-0 in the first. In the second inning, it's 4-4. You know what I mean? Or then they go back down 7-4. Next thing you know, it's 7-7 in the seventh. Doesn't mean they're going to win the game. I think a perfect example was the night before. They're down 7-0, and I was impressed that they scored 3 runs in a night. This team just does not quit. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true.
It is true. It's a team that, first of all, it's a long, deep lineup with professional hitters. Even the young kids are professional hitters, and credit goes to Davey and Kevin Long for the type of attitude and grit that's instilled in these guys. They just don't want to give up in that bat. It's kind of a competition. Up and down the lineup. It's like I said, it's a deep professional hitting lineup, and when you're guys off the bench are Matt Adams and Howie Kendrick and now Ryan Zimmerman and Geraldo Parra and those type of guys. That's a tough lineup and a tough roster to navigate for any pitcher. And it shows. You can't make many mistakes against these guys, and when you do, they often make you pay. And sometimes when things go poorly, like against Syndergaard the other, when you can put that kind of this lineup, you've had yourself a great day on the mound. But day in and day out, from the beginning of this season till today. They've given us a chance to stay in games and to win games, and it's a credit to that coaching staff for keeping these guys in the mindset that they are.
So Max looked good in the first 3 innings or so, and then obviously gave up the 4 in the fourth. So he's had 3 starts here since he came back, and you guys have won all 3. And he was, he went 4 innings, 4 1/3, and then last night 6. Do you kind of feel like he's getting back to where he needs to be now to kind of building it back up?
Yeah, when things weren't looking so good last night, I thought to myself, I said, well, this was a victory for us because Max looked good. You know, he went 6 innings, went 90+ pitches. The training wheels will be off Max now. I think he can go, you know, his 100, 105, 110 pitches. I think now you saw the crispness of his fastball. You know, he hung a cutter to Panic. And Panic made him pay for it, but you know, his stuff was really good last night. Fastball up to 96. We'll see how he feels today, but very, very encouraged about Max, and I think that you're seeing the progression of you know, a veteran pitcher, a Hall of Fame type of pitcher, you know, getting ready for letting it loose and letting it eat, and I think that we're just seeing the beginnings of Max getting back to Max.
Mike, how do we balance the excitement of the win with, as you allude to, kind of, you know, the mental errors, the Matt Adams blunder on the bases, Trey kind of losing track, it seemed from afar, of the outs there, and then, you know, some of the bullpen issues that are still cropping up. I argue, and I'll argue anybody, I did with Eddie Matz, that this bullpen is still markedly better since you've made some moves, but they're, you know, it's still not rock solid. Can't rely on it every single time. So how do you balance the excitement of the win with the stuff that you still need to work on?
Well, the consistency part and the mental mistakes. You know, you're talking about a Trey Turner, who's one of the most fundamental players in the game. A guy who plays every day. Played 162 last year. He's played every game since he came off the DL this year. Right. This is the rock and the soul of this team. So I'm going to give him a break. You know, this guy plays every day, right, every night, and he let you know, these they're not robots. They're you know, they make mistakes, and you you know, you just say you know, you pat them on the back and say, let's roll. And you know, physical errors happen, and but again, the attitude and the grinded outness of this team is remarkable. Bullpen's got to pitch better in situations like that. You can't let those tack-on runs score. I do like the fact that it's now a stuffed bullpen. It's with some swing and miss involved in it, but you certainly have to perform more consistently. You know, you look at certain series that we've had. The Cubs series, for example, you know, -1 pitch by Rodney. They pitched extremely well. You know, certain series they've really occasions they've given it up. So yeah, that's got to improve. We've got good guys back there that have good stuff, and guys who can make hitters swing and miss. And there's power coming out of the bullpen now, and I think that once they get Elias gets his footing underneath him, there's a guy just coming off the DL for about a month, and Hudson, you know, reacting to a new role on a championship caliber club, and you know, pitching the 9th inning until Doolittle gets ready. You've got Strickland, and you've got Suero, who's pitched terrific, and Rainey, whose stuff is outstanding. So, you know, I like the stuff part of the bullpen. We have to get some consistency and perform a little bit better for sure. But it's a bullpen that I have high hopes for. That the last month they're going to find their footing and get a rhythm and start getting guys out in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning.
I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, Mike. Let's just assume just work with me here. Let's assume we wrap this up, and we're gonna be in a 1-game playoff situation. Let's assume we get Max on the mound, and he gives you 6.5 great innings, whatever it is, 6 1/3, and then you're in a tight situation. You know, are we going to just bring in Corbin or somebody like that? We talked to Al Leiter about this. You know, in a 1-run game, or are we going to go with Suero, Strickland, Rainey, these guys that we talk about? You know, in a 1-game situation, knowing the bullpen struggles.
Well, you're gonna go with the guy who gives you the best chance to win that game, because it's a win or go home game. So the way you manage those games, I would imagine. I've never managed one of those type of games, either as Al Leiter, by the way.
Right.
So
right.
The guy the guy that gives you a chance to get it out, because there's no game tomorrow unless you win today, and all hands are on deck in those games, and you pitch whoever you feel can get those hitters out in that particular inning. So I think those playoff, especially those play-in games and those 1 games and those final games of the series, those games are all hands on deck, and you just go with what matchup and what the best guy to get that guy out at that time, and rolls be damned.
What do the numbers say on something like that? Have you guys ever done research? Like, I remember when we obviously had the whole town remembers when we brought in Max and it didn't work out a couple of years ago. But typically in those kind of situations, when you bring in your ace, starter, in a reliever role. Historically, does that tend to work or not? You know what I mean? Is there numbers to back that up?
Well, I remember in 2001 when I was fortunate enough to be with the Arizona Diamondbacks. We won the World Series against the New York Yankees in Game 7. We brought Randy Johnson in after starting the game before, and he closed out that win. If I had to place a bet on putting a guy in there like a Max Scherzer, if he's has enough rest and he's feeling good about himself, I'd run him out there anytime in any situation, because he, no matter what the situation is, he's going to give you the best chance of getting that guy out no matter what. So again, it's the Bumgarner's done it. I know that, and there's
Kershaw, right?
Kershaw has done it, so there's a bunch of different analogies that could work. And again, it's you don't want to end that game on the losing side and have your best pitchers not in the game. And I think that's the mindset of the manager and the coaching staff when you're in those type of battles.